So, you all have been begging for these paranormal police stories, and I am about to bring it to you. Well, hello, my spooky friends. Yeah, you've been asking for police paranormal, and y'all, I know that they've got to encounter the strange and paranormal all the time, right? We just don't hear a whole lot about it. I probably will do another video on this. I've got some correctional officer stories in the jail. But today I'm going to share some of your true stories. Yeah, I know. Yes, I know. Scully, please say hello to Scully. And also, I promised I would update you all on his relationship. He is so excited about, Miss Scarlett O'Hara. Things are progressing. Thank you for asking. And we'll go into that at the end of the video. So if you are interested, then stick around. First off, let us get a story from Joanne T. My husband is a retired state police officer. In his department, when an officer was ready to go on the road, they would coach for 6 months before getting on probation. He was on patrol one night with his coach when he decided to explore some of the more rural areas of town. It was nearly dusk when he turned down an unpaved road and soon was in an area that had no houses, just a few trees here and there. Suddenly, his headlights illuminated a figure standing a few feet off the road. To this day, more than 25 years later, he could not tell if the figure was male or female, only that it was dressed all in black, wearing some sort of robe. Black, stringy hair, and a face that was white as snow, with two black eyes staring right at him. The figure never moved, just stared at them. His coach said, "What the heck is that? Get out of here." My hubby jammed the cruiser in reverse and backed up a few feet to turn around. When he looked back, the figure was gone. There was no place it could have gone in that short space of time. Needless to say, they were both pretty shook. That is when the coach told my husband that there was a story about a witch that was rumored to live in that area. He believes to this day he had an encounter with something supernatural. Well, it certainly sounds like that if it just from the description, of somebody with a really white face, all black eyes. I don't know. I don't know if it was a real person or if it was a spirit. But Joanne goes on to tell us some more. She says, "Hi, Silky. Just a little more info on this story. This incident happened in York, Pennsylvania around 1998. Also, I have a couple more stories to share. When I was married to my first husband, we lived in a second floor apartment with our 2-year-old son. My husband worked a lot of nights, and that place was spooky. Many years later, a house that was just a few doors down from our building was on an episode of The Dead Files. Oh, wow. Also, it was very close to a marker in memory of some settlers that were killed by a group of Native Americans. The layout of the house was odd. The kitchen, dining room, and bathroom were at the back of the apartment. Then a long, narrow hallway led past two bedrooms into a large living room. One evening, while my husband was working and my son and I were in the living room, I was watching television while he was on the floor playing with his toys. I thought I heard footsteps coming down the hallway. It was hardwood, no carpet. I froze and my son turned and looked in the doorway, gave a huge smile, and said, "Hiya." There was no one there. Okay, so your son was only 2, and obviously he saw somebody there. They say kids, babies, and up to, what do they say, about 3 or 4, you can see spirits. I don't know. But then somehow after that, the veil between the worlds gets convoluted. I'm not sure how that happens, but you hear a lot of stories like that. But let's go on. One other time, I was again in the living room. My son was in bed and hubby was working. And as I was watching TV, I watched as the glass globe from a reproduction oil lamp we had on top of the TV pulled up. What? Pulled up from the metal part that holds the globe in place. And I also heard the noise it makes when you pull it out quickly. The lamp moved to the left about a foot or so and proceeded to slowly move down to the floor and landed upright. I went to bed. I g I guess I would go to bed too, like, "What are you gonna do?" "Okay, I'm out. I'm out for the night, and I'm never drinking again." No, just kidding. Nobody's drinking in this story. But, wow, yeah, I have some of those globes. I keep them for, those oil lamps in case the power goes out because I live in Dixie Alley, so it happens, and I've got a lot of those. I know exactly what you're talking about with that globe. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more before I go. When I was about 16, I was babysitting for my older sister, as I often did. The kids were in bed, and I was doing my homework at her dining room table, located right by a pair of sliding glass doors that lead out to a small deck, when I heard someone call my name 3 times. My first thought was that my sister and brother in law had come home early for some reason and were playing a not funny joke. I went over and quickly pushed the curtains back and turned the light on, and no one was there. It was a rural area, and there were houses, but I looked out every window, and there was no one there, and there was no place for someone to hide. Thank you for sharing these spooky stories. I love them. I'm so glad I found your channel. I am glad too. Now, what it sounds like to me, I've got gnats. I don't know where these gnats are coming from. And they plague me. There's no fruit. There's no. Where are the gnats coming from? They're like everywhere. Okay, back to the Wendigo. Okay, so if you don't know what a Wendigo is, it is like a kind of like a skinwalker, and people see them maybe in different forms. They're definitely not human. Sometimes people say they have horns. They're very scary. But the unique thing about a Wendigo is that they are normally heard outside. Okay. You're not going to hear them so much inside, although something had been talking to me the last couple of months off and on. But a Wendigo is usually a way to draw you either outside or further into the woods. Now, a lot of times people will say they hear a woman calling for help or crying or screaming, "Help me, help me." A lot of other times they say they hear someone that they know, like a specific person, a cousin, a mom, whatever, in their voice call their name to come outside or to come over here or again deeper in the woods. Now, that person is never there, actually. Usually in these stories, the person comes up from somewhere else, and then the person hearing the voice realizes, oh my goodness, what was that? Apparently, Wendigos do this to trap you and eat you, I think. I don't know. Nobody has ever survived a Wendigo that I am aware of. Now, my daughter is terrified of Wendigos. I don't know, but I have heard someone use my kids' voices, two of my children, to call my name in this house. So that is odd. And I would say in this case, if you're inside and you hear it outside, I'm going to say Wendigo. Just one more thing to give y'all nightmares. All right, but let's look at another police story. And this one, y'all. This story was sent in by Ari. I saw your episode where you told a ghost story involving a security guard. I have an interesting story told to me by my husband, who is employed by the State Highway Patrol in our state. Several years ago, a state trooper was investigating a motor vehicle accident which involved a drunk driver and ended in the fatality of a young woman. When the trooper went back to his car, the young woman who was killed was sitting in his car. She appeared to him several times over the next couple of weeks until the person who was responsible for her death was brought to justice. He never saw her again after that. Thought you might enjoy this intriguing story. Yes, I certainly did. Okay, I'm just going to say this. If I get unalived by something like this horrific, not my time, crime or, I'm gonna come back and haunt you. Oh, yeah, I am. I've already got it on I've got it in my planner. If I die unnaturally or as the result of a crime, yeah, buddy, I'm gonna come back and haunt you until you go to prison. And then I'm gonna haunt you there. How about that? I mean, seriously. That is such a wild story. I would actually love to hear more details on that if you have any. Um, Again, if you are a policeman, security guard, corrections officer, anything like that, if you have any stories, please send them in to avelincottage@gmail.com. I would love to hear them, and especially because there aren't as many police stories out there as there are nurse stories. All right, I promised you I would catch you up on Scully. So, Scully finally let me see his girlfriend's profile, dating profile. So I'm going to show it to you. Yes, Scully, yeah, I know. Look, we've had a lot of discussions about this. All right. We're going to put up two pictures. Now, this is on her profile. And tell Scully, she is quite beautiful. I mean, I love the red. I love the, you know. But the thing is, I explained to him is that it doesn't look like a realistic picture. It looks like there may be a filter on that. Just want to warn you. I know. So then he explained to me that this is pretty common in the afterlife. It's pretty common here too, from what I hear. And so Scully wanted me to show you his own profiles. Now, I will say he does look quite dapper in this. I mean, I've never seen you with a top hat on, but I think it's quite fetching. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. I mean, here, let me pull this over a little bit. So I think it's very similar. You see that? It is similar to the way he looks. And then here is the other one. Now, this we did have an argument about. I mean, Scully, you don't have a mustache and part of a beard. Okay. I don't know what you're pulling here. But anyway, he assures me that this is quite common. And so, he feels like it's not too far off the mark. And I think that probably very soon they will meet up. And maybe I'll get to meet her. Oh, am I going to get to meet her too, Scully? Okay. Okay. Well, when I do, I'll tell you what I think, how it turned out, and we'll see. How much do they look like their picture? I don't know. We do the same thing. Well, I don't because I'm not on dating sites. Again, he's getting more action than I am living. Hmm. All right. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Please continue to send me your paranormal ghost encounters. We're going to do glitch in the matrix. We're going to do premonitions. I am collecting letters and emails for all of those things to do different episodes. And I am going to be going live very soon. So, I want you to kind of just keep up with the community page. I will make an announcement before I do. I hope you have a lovely, lovely night. But whatever you do, stay spooky, right? Bye bye.